Are you on?
Did you put it completely on, T?
Yeah.
Khalid, we're on.
What's happening?
No, this is the life, y'all. We're taking care of kids. Insurrection coup is going on. Okay. All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. I just called my comrade Khalid and Saki in Jackson, Mississippi. Like, I need to talk to y'all right now. I think we've all been processing it right now. And for me, like, particularly Khalid is the person I'm like, help me.
I can't hear you, Rosie. It's the signal on my end is really bad. Let me get everybody to turn everything off real quick.
Okay, go ahead. It's fine. People are watching.
I can't even hear what you're asking.
Okay. Okay, so Khalid has to get a better connection. You have to
hold on. Just
let
me get everybody to turn everything off real quick.
We got it. Okay. All right, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Okay, stay with us. This is so last minute, everybody, obviously, because I'm doing it in super real time. And then I do the Instagram live just because Instagram, for some reason, you can't connect. Okay. Well, I'm going to start. Khalid will be on. So, first of all, I hope everybody watching is safe, sound, or being engaged, especially if you're an activist or organizer or movement person. There's a way to be engaged right now. Khalid, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's fine now. I had to get our. Apparently, throughout town, the signal is fairly weak.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of supposedly doing a training when all the stuff popped off. So we were reviewing all of this together, trying to make some sense out of it. But
yeah, that's why I called you.
Interesting time.
That's why I called you. But this just came across the wire 5 seconds ago. Ossoff beat Purdue. So John Ossoff just won his Senate seat in Georgia, which now means they're about to really lose their shit out here. I'm like, so I was like, this is my first question to Khalid. Let me just, once again, hold on. I'm going to reset. Thank you, everybody watching on Instagram. Thank you, everybody. This is last minute. I just called Khalid before I go on Davey D at 5:30 East time. If you're an hour, 4:30, and then 2:30 in California. I'm going live with Davey D. But I was like, I got to talk to Khalid. So now that we know that Ossoff won, Khalid Jackson, Saki Hall down in Jackson, Mississippi, Cooperation Jackson, how much worse is it going to happen tomorrow, and not against the government, but Black and brown folks? Like, I need you to tell me what to do right now.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody again what I've been saying for a while now. Get your stuff in order. Get your house in order. Get all the tools that you need. Get all the resources that you need. Make sure you have a little steady supply, because this could get a little wild. I think today was another kind of a milestone toward this march towards civil war that, I know folks have been thinking to a certain extent. I've been exaggerating in my analysis around that. And I'd love to see at each step in the road, as this thing has been progressing now for about 2 years, very clearly, openly and brazenly, where the exaggeration is, and, where these forces, are not pressing forward with their agenda. So, we need to get ready. I mean, because there's definitely going to be some blowback for what happened, in the Senate. But to be honest with you, Rose, I'm much more concerned about the level of illusion many of our folks have with how this thing is turning out, in the short memory that people have about what happens when, or what has happened historically and traditionally when the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And typically, not much has changed. And the last time that happened was in 09 and 2010, and Obama and them failed to really be able to move on much of what was promised, particularly to organized workers. They wound up passing a very weak, medical bill. So folks expecting a whole lot with the slim majority they got. Don't get your hopes up too high, particularly in the context of what's going on today. Even if major hostilities don't break out, this is set terms and conditions of the struggle that the Democrats are going to have to respond to, and they're going to try to do everything they can, particularly given who's at the helm right now in terms of Biden, to try to reconcile and heal, right? Which is mean they're going to bend more to the right than they're going to bend to anything towards the left to try to bring those forces that are out, storming the Capitol right now, and all the different things that they represent, and the millions of people that they represent. Like today might be shocking, but it's not a full demonstration of their strength by any measure or the imagination, and they're going to have to be dealt with one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, first I have to say, I have been on my Instagram feed, and I just don't understand how people that are in organizations, movement, work with Black or brown people in jail with no health care, like, was this shocking? I was like, what? Like, and I think it's that cognitive dissonance, like, oh, it's happening. But the flip side of all this is that if these white people would have the racial and class consciousness, they would also understand, although that's not even a pass. Anybody who knows us, we don't give like white supremacists a pass. I'm trying to, more engage our people, like, why are you shocked? What do you think is going to be so different when Biden and, I'm in New York. We have a so-called great governor. His name is Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat. He just took the Working Families Party and the Green Party off the ballot. Okay, that's the electoral. He has released no incarcerated person while mad people are dying every day of COVID. That's COVID. He knew this shit was really bad in the nursing homes a month before he did anything. Right. And now he's blaming just de Blasio on the vaccines. Moving away from all the electoral political and what the Capitol actually means, I am more concerned that people are not understanding that this is coming. They're already like coming to Albany, New York, the Proud Boys. Albany, like, that's what I really need. Like, what do we as movement folks do right now to use this moment of consciousness out of voting for people gets us free to, like, we need organized masses because these cats are coming after us. Like,
that's it. I mean, look, there is no substitute for that level of organizing and the level of self-defense work that people have to do in their own communities. Right. So go get yourself, I'm just going to say it here. You got a right to bear arms, bear them. You got to then learn how to use them effectively and appropriately. So get skilled up on that. And there's plenty of people wherever you're at in this country who got skills of that nature. Folks have been through the military or been through the National Guard. There's no shortage of people around to teach people. And I'm talking about Black people or brown people or indigenous folks. Ain't no shortage of folks who got them skills around. Tap into them, and then start setting up, what your protocol is in your community.
Get to the people. I'm just grabbing a book.
And start setting up protocols for who you're gonna call and what you're gonna do. How you're gonna move. Where are safe places, where there are additional resources that people, can draw upon. Yeah, that's a good one. There's a couple other ones.
Hello, I'm just saying. I really we need, and also, like, this is not our fight. Like, everybody who's our people, like, stay home. Let the crazy white nationalists fight it out with the national.
Fight it out amongst themselves on this one. Huh?
Like, this might be the best week to ever organize. We all, like, this is a time where we need not to be on the streets and we need to all stay home. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you, Saki, Brandon, so many people have created Cooperation Jackson. I'm trying to look, everybody get the book Jackson Rising. Yeah. If Kali was my campaign manager, I probably would have been vice president for like 2 days. Probably would have been. What at this moment, what are like 3 things that speak to that self-determination that people should be doing at this moment to not get so caught up in the narrative of like, this is not America, we have to save America? Like, no, what is it that people should be doing right now?
Number one, making sure you protect yourself from this pandemic. Yep. That's number one, straight up. Dealing with this pandemic, continue to educate your folks, continue to do the things you need to do to inoculate yourself, because this crisis is going to continue to grow and escalate. It's going to continue to hit us in a disproportionate manner. The rollout is going to continue to be a disaster of how they're dealing with this vaccination piece. So make sure that you stay healthy and do all the things you need to do. That's eating right, getting your vitamin D, zinc supplements and things of those nature, because those are proven to be very key to how our immune systems, deal with this infection if and when people get exposed to it. So that's number one. We still got to organize against that political.
Kali,
go ahead.
I hope people really take that into consideration. I didn't know. I guess as a Latina, Afro-Latina, I've always known melanin, right? Like I'm from, we go to Puerto Rico to sit in the sun. But I didn't realize that a lack of vitamin D actually leads in women to migraines and even some form of depression. And when I finally got, for the first time, a Jamaican Black woman doctor, she's like, oh, you're deficient in vitamin D, and people don't take that seriously. Right. So because I live in Albany, New York, and we have 6 months of grayness, I take a vitamin D pill every week, but I also am zinc, vitamin C, immunity. If you're just in your house, you can walk around. A lot of us are not as healthy for many reasons, but we need to take this moment right now, just start taking some vitamin D. It'll make you feel so much better. So I'm sorry. And the other 2, I won't interrupt them.
Yeah, that's one. And there's a political response, that we need to have. And it's a comprehensive political response. That's what we've been trying to pull together with the People's Strike, and we'll continue to do. That effort is still kind of ongoing. But the political piece is that, we lost so much ground on the front end around all these fake concerns around the economy, which was basically just whipping labor into shape. So we've, by surrendering and us not organizing to the degree that we need in response to that, we've allowed capital to get the upper hand, and it's been forcing people to go back to work. And that's just putting everybody in peril, and I know your partner knows that as well as anybody, doing some of the things that he's doing, and you see, and you can share with the people what the real aspects of that are, because basically serving them college students, he's putting his life at risk, and by extension yours, every single day, when they could actually do something profoundly different with managing this whole crisis in education and what people are doing, but they're choosing not to. So they're putting profits over the concern of people, and we're going to have to build a strong political movement that not only bucks against that, but lead us in another direction. 2, all right, so that's all number 1. 2, I want folks to start thinking about what you can do to start building up your own local economies. Yeah. Because this is more critical as more and more people are rendered out of work, and there's more and more of a disjunction between, the real economy, real unemployment, and what the stock market is doing. Mm-hmm. And we know even with this, even if the Democrats win control of the Senate with the slim majority they're going to have, don't think that they're going to do a whole bunch to give relief on the housing front, because those housing protections are going to end at some point, and that's going to be millions of people thrown out of their houses immediately. We know that there's millions of people out there becoming, food insecure. Many, I think, in some areas we see it here, are becoming malnourished. This is real. It's not something that's made up. So us redirecting and building up the mutual aid work and the cooperative work is something that we're going to have to do, I think, in the long term, because many folks are trying to rush to get back to normal. Ain't going to be no new normal.
Right.
Capital has figured out this has been a great experiment, this pandemic, for it, about how to reorganize things on the social level. And best believe now that they figured out that they can get more out of us without having the overhead of paying for buildings and paying for utilities and all that kind of stuff, they ain't going back.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be more automation. It's going to be more work remotely from home, and that's going to mean us bearing more expense, doing more hours, and increasing the level of the technology, the surveillance technology that comes with all that. So our best response immediately is kind of de-linked from that, but that's going to entail folks to develop some serious mutual aid networks in your community, and then building up the local economy. I will argue through cooperative means. That would be number 2. And then number 3, people got to get more resolved on doing the self-defense work and coming up with alternative structures of how we're going to govern ourselves as this thing starts to collapse more and more. And those 2 things, the self-governments and the self-defense, have to go hand in hand, because we're going to have to figure out ways to mediate disputes and contradictions and conflicts amongst the people, on a profound level, particularly in more and more resource-starved areas. As there's less jobs, there's less support from state, federal government, coming in, we're going to have to rely more and more on ourselves and deal with all the tensions that come with that. So those would be my 3 things, Rosa, straight up, that I think people need to be focusing in on in the immediate sense and in the long-term sense, because, the Biden is going to have to control. He's going to have to preside over a massive program of austerity. Ain't no way around that. And y'all better look at, I'm going to just say this to clarity, that whatever level of stimulus they give, they're going to double that on the austerity front, on the back end.
Yeah, and people need to be looking at what they've been doing to Puerto Rico, because if you want to see the blueprint for it, it's right there with Promesa. And yeah, go ahead, keep going.
No. You educate the people on that, because it's right there. It's not like you got to look far. It's right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously with COVID, people's mental health, isolation is just, it's unnormal. Like, it's not, humans will die without other human connection.
That's right.
But also, I started reading Reconstruction again, and really read Du Bois. Everybody says James Baldwin, which is so incredible important. But I mean, there's a reason Du Bois was exiled or had to go into exile from this country. And, I think we've mistaken the last decade with putting so much faith into electoral politics. And it also, I do like, media has been more 24/7 in that way. I think this is like a moment, though, where our elders would be like, yo, use this moment right now. Like, what's the imagination? Like, what's the radical imagination? Like, what does it look like with everything that you said? And figuring out so how at this moment we settle our quarrels, as has been told to us. Like, I'm gonna be straight up. It's not easy being in the movement, and then there's a lot of ego involved, and there's a lot of things, and I'm definitely now on the I'm closer to 50 than 45. But I think what comes with folks like us is that I hope right now we're the ones that are introspective. Like, let go of the bullshit. We're not even talking about just the United States of America. We're also, I think what we're seeing is what happened, or we need to link it to y'all think this is bad? Look at what America does around the world every day, right now, dropping bombs, blockades, all of that, and this is mostly white people going at it. But obviously, this is here because this is what this country has done. And this project is a total failure.
Right.
I mean, with having children and being like, can we just at least leave them with a planet that they can breathe on? And
that's becoming the tall order.
Du Bois is actually a communist and then a socialist, right? But also This is Marxist, Leninist, Chavista. But yeah, Du Bois was a communist. He was as well.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, anti-capitalist. And
I mean, but that book, you know, I've been telling people that for months now. So I'm glad you picked it up.
Yeah.
And then encouraging everybody who's listening to this to do the same. But Black Reconstruction in America, if you really want to understand, you know, I know you've heard me say that. I've been saying it for months. If you really want to understand what's going on now, what we're looking at, that's the best book that you can pick up to understand, because there are a lot of repeating dynamics and the contradictions that were, you know, well, somebody made a joke, was like, you know, if we're gonna have a second civil war, at least let it be over different issues. We're still dealing with the same issues.
Yeah.
Right? Because that one never fully got resolved. And this time I think it might. You know, it's gonna be ugly. I think at the end of the day, but you know, and when the chickens come home to roost, it don't always look pretty. And this is what's going on. You know, and I've been tired, just sick to my stomach, you know, hearing all these liberal commentators talking about this is not what America is. Like, this is exactly what the hell y'all do every other country in the world.
Yeah, we
need y'all are perfect doing this. Like this rhetoric that y'all got that this is not America. Yes, it is. This is exactly what it is. Now it's just coming home to roost.
Right. That's why it's falling apart. Like, any empire seizes, usually not in 200 or 300 years, but yeah, you know, I just think like we gotta like you know, as Robert and Mabel Williams said, self-defense, self-respect, self-determination. But also like I think part of our work as movement and organizers is that we're gonna figure that out. Like this is I don't call it necessarily sacrifice, because there's actually people out there sacrificing their lives to work. But I definitely am like, yo, right now, like, it's either part of the work that you do in your blood or not. Like, this is what freedom looks like. And we might not win what we think is full freedom, but we still here. So, but I want everybody who's watching, please, yeah, this is a strategy right here.
And we got a second volume of that coming out. Should be coming out at the end of this year, just so folks know. Jackson Rising Redux. And then there's two other books that'll probably be out, hopefully. Well, one going to be more like a pamphlet. The Build and Fight program, that's going to be put out by the Ranger Press, the same folks who put that out. We're working on that now. It's been delayed. I was hoping we'd be much further away, but these back problems I've been suffering with have delayed a whole bunch of things. But today's giving me more impetus to even, suck it up a little bit more and get it out, you know, just to get some contribution out. And, you know, all that's been invested in me by the elders and you know, that I've been able to absorb, you know, definitely going to try to make the effort to put that back out there, you know, at least share my perspective, and people can do with it what they will. You know, but I think there's a few things that have been learned along the way that could be helpful. And one of the main things is kind of casting away a lot of these illusions that many of our folks have with this bourgeois democratic process and the system. And, you know, one of my deepest concern, Rose, and everybody listening, is just, you know, what has happened the last 2 or 3 months, I think, is teaching the wrong lessons, is that folks have gone deeper down this kind of electoral path, you know, with time, energy, money, resources and commitment, instead of kind of building an alternative and putting more of our energy there. And it's going to have some dangerous consequences, because a lot of that, in effect, leaves us vulnerable to having the state be the last resource of protection. You know, so like you were talking about, like with Georgia, you know, most of us, let's be real, if and when they start organizing and taking to the streets, you know, like these Proud Boys and these neo-fascist forces, if you think the police force in your area is going to be, you know, your last line of defense, you may have another thing coming.
Yeah, I mean,
some things that we got to organize ourselves. There's no way around that.
Everybody who was watching tonight, I mean, I never want to hear again anything about us protesting. I'm like, first, these are like terrorists. Dude, they're just fucking terrorists. Like, he is in Nancy Pelosi's office with his foot up. I'm like, they already dropped a bomb on Black people twice in this country. The move bombing and Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's 2020. They would have eviscerated. How are people repelling into the center floor? I'm just like, and to people,
it's beautiful to watch because I think if people take the right lessons from
like, well, if they take
the right lessons, yeah, I mean, but what it clearly demonstrates is that they have some major contradictions amongst themselves, and they're not clear on how they're going to resolve it. That's what today demonstrated. Because clearly, if it was us, the tanks would have been out there. That shit would have been over in 5 minutes.
Like 5 minutes.
But they you know, they clearly caught in the crossroads of what did they do? You know, to what extent do they put the hammer down on their own shock troops? And clearly, you know, like given some of the chain of command there, you know, the critical piece was nobody could make that call because the person who was supposed to make that call is the person who unleashed those forces, right? The president.
He was in the bunker tweeting. My take on this is that there were definitely some Capitol Police that were in it, and we're like, we're gonna open the doors for y'all.
Oh yeah, ain't no question.
That's not conspiracy.
But that's the element of the Civil War stuff that's going to play out. Like, whose orders are they going to follow? You know, which way do they line up? You know, and what folks need to recognize is that look, part of the crisis is this would have been profoundly a different outcome today, or could have been, if there had been like 1 million or more people who actually showed up. You know, so Trump was sitting in his bunker, trust me, pissed off that the mobilization was not as successful as he was hoping that it was going to be. So while this was a shock to many people's system, him and his allies were saying, damn, you know, it's just not enough for us to take this at this particular point in time. You know, the game is set. And then, you know, I want everybody also to go back and listen to Biden's speech very carefully, you know, because it speaks to a deeper level of the crisis, because particularly towards the very end, with that, you know, God bless America and bless the troops. Like, he made a clear call to the Pentagon, stick with me. Like, if it comes down to it, stick with me. You know, like right now, I you know, as of today, particularly with the what happened in Georgia, you know, is that kind of is like, you know, I hold more cards than the other guy do, right? And you know, so stick with me and let's roll with it. But that the fact that they got to come out there and declare that, you know, there's some critical things that's being, some fractures and fissures behind the wall, and you know, and this thing really is like a Humpty Dumpty. They're not going to be able to put this back together again, not in the same way. I'm not saying it's going to fall immediately. I wish it would, but clearly, it's some critical turning points, because people can't forget half the country, half this empire voted for that man, and they ain't going nowhere. They clearly demonstrated that today.
It's a lot. It's like 75 million of them, literally, maybe like 1.5 of the rest of us. But Khalid, thank you. First, everybody, go to Cooperation Jackson. You can get in touch with Khalid, Saki, Brandon Keene, and everybody out there. Just stay safe, like stay centered right now. Do some writing, draw some art, feed your kids like I have to, and you all have to soon. And thank you. I was like, I gotta call Kali right now to like ground me, and you did that, and all the tips too. So I love you, comrades. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you. Do your thing.
Okay.
All right. Later.
Peace, everybody.